Welcome to the infamous edition of the Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation done through creative storytelling of history's most infamous people. Now, let's meet our guest. Welcome to the podcast. Let's start at the absolute beginning, where the public narrative hasn't yet distorted who you were. When and where were you born, and what was your given name?
Well, Calvin, the historical record on my earliest days is actually a bit of a mystery. I was known to the world as Johnny Tyler, a name that eventually carried a lot of weight in the gambling halls of the Old West. But the exact date and location of my birth remain lost to time.
Was there a story behind your name, or a nickname that stuck with you?
Out in the Arizona territory, I became the leader of a faction of gamblers and troublemakers known as the Slopers. We were a tight-knit crew trying to run the tables, and having that crowd behind me definitely made the name Johnny Tyler one that saloon owners kept an eye on.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
It was the decision to try and corner the gambling market in the silver boomtown of Tombstone, Arizona, in the summer of 1880. It seemed like standard business for a man of my talents, but trying to flex our muscles in the local saloons set off what folks later called a gambler's war, and put me directly on a collision course with some incredibly dangerous men.
Let's talk about your early run-ins with the law. Before the world knew your name for your most infamous actions, what was your very first arrest or interaction with law enforcement, and what were the consequences?
My most defining run-in didn't actually involve a sheriff putting me in cuffs, but rather a new kind of law enforcement taking over the town. In mid-February of 1881, I pulled a gun on a dealer at the Oriental Saloon, fully intending to take control of the game. That was the exact moment Wyatt Earp, who was establishing his dominance in town, intervened. He disarmed me, grabbed me right by the ear, some say he slapped me across the face, and dragged me right out into the street, while his partner, Doc Holliday, kept my friends at bay with a pistol. It was a humiliating eviction that effectively ended my run in Tombstone.
At what moment did you realize your name would never be forgotten?
It was when our paths crossed again in Leadville, Colorado. After Earp threw me out, I had to pack up my games and move on. I thought I left the trouble behind, but Doc Holliday showed up in Leadville too. The lingering tension and personal vendettas from our Tombstone days followed us up into the mountains, ensuring our rivalry became a permanent fixture of Wild West lore.
Did fame make you more dangerous, or did it simply expose who you already were?
I don't think it made me more dangerous. It just showed I was a hothead who wouldn't back down easily. Running the Slopers and frustrating saloon owners like Milt Joyce by scaring off his high-class clientele at the Oriental Saloon was just who I was, a man trying to secure his piece of the pie by any means necessary.
Did you have any known rivalries that defined your career?
Without a doubt, it was the Earp faction, particularly Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. They stood directly in the way of everything the Slopers wanted to accomplish. If I had managed to hold my ground at the Oriental Saloon and drive them out instead, the entire history of Tombstone, including the fateful gunfight at the OK Corral, might have looked completely different.
When, where, and how did you pass away?
That is perhaps the ultimate gamble I won against history, Calvin. After 1886, I completely disappeared from the records. Some sources claim I retired and traveled as far away as the Far East, but because I slipped into the shadows, no one ever documented the exact date, location, or cause of my death.
Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before signing off?
Just that history usually remembers the men who held the badges and won the gunfights. But the shadows they cast were filled with people like me. We played our hand, we ran our games, and we shaped the West just as much as they did.
And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, do better with the life you have been given and choose to do good in this life. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.